My name is Nox Thatcher. I am 74 years old, and on Christmas morning, I sat in my own living room at 49 degrees Fahrenheit, wrapped in my dead husband's Carhartt jacket, watching my son kneel beside a tabletop tree with 3 ornaments on it. The space heater glowed orange. It was the only warmth in the house. Derek looked at me with those soft eyes, Ray's eyes, and said, "Mom, has the $5,000 Amanda sends you each month finally made you comfortable?" I pulled the blanket tighter around my shoulders. My breath hung in the air between us like a small ghost. "Son, I haven't had heat in this house since November." His face changed, not all at once. First confusion, then math, then something darker. "What do you mean you haven't had heat?" "I mean, the boiler hasn't run since October 7th. I mean, the fuel tank is empty. I mean, I've been sleeping in your father's jacket for 7 weeks. He stood up, looked at the space heater, looked at the frost on the inside of the kitchen window, looked at me. Amanda says a lot of things, Derek." And right then, his elegant wife walked through the front door carrying Nordstrom bags and wearing a Gucci scarf, her Tiffany earrings catching the gray December light. "Merry Christmas, everyone. I'm Nox Thatcher, 74, retired civil engineer, the first woman hired by Rensselaer County in 1982. I built this house with my own hands, including the heating system someone shut off. Welcome to Alpha Mom Stories. Subscribe and stay. This one's for you." I graduated from RPI in 1974, Rensselaer Polytechnic, civil engineering. There were 11 women in my class. 8 dropped out. I didn't. The county hired me in 1982, first woman engineer on staff. My supervisor, Carl Duggan, gave me the worst assignments for 3 years straight. Route 7 that saved the county $1.2 million over 2 decades. Carl retired in 1998. I got his office. 40 years I worked for the county. 40 years of bridge inspections, road surveys, infrastructure projects. I signed off on 212 of them. Everyone finished on time. Everyone under budget. Ray and I built this house in 1986. Raymond Arthur Thatcher. He was a carpenter. I drew the plans. He cut the wood. We raised the walls together on a Saturday in April with 12 friends and a case of Genesee. He died 5 years ago. Pancreatic cancer. 14 months from diagnosis to funeral. The house is a 4-bedroom colonial on Maple Ridge Road, 2,200 square feet, hardwood floors. Ray milled himself from oak we bought at auction. A fieldstone fireplace I laid by hand, stone by stone, the summer I was pregnant with Derek. My pension is $4,100 a month. Social Security adds another $1,640. I own the house outright. I have savings. I am not a woman who needs rescuing. But someone decided I was a woman who wouldn't notice. Derek is my only child. He's 44 now, VP of engineering at a tech company in Boston. Makes more money than Ray and I earned in our combined lifetimes. He got there himself, scholarships, night classes, a master's from MIT. He finished while working full-time. He's the kind of man who answers every email and forgets to eat lunch. Works 70-hour weeks, travels to Singapore, Dublin, Sao Paulo. He calls every Sunday, or he used to. 3 years ago, Derek set up an automatic transfer, $5,000 a month, wired on the first. "Mom, just let Amanda handle the details," he said. "She's great with finances." Amanda, their business partner, Paige Delacroix. Amanda offered to manage Mom's finances, set up the account, handled the deposits, sent Derek monthly updates with photos of me smiling on my porch. I smiled because she asked me to smile. Derek visits 3 or 4 times a year, used to be more. Amanda always had a reason it wasn't. Derek's exhausted. We've got the Henderson Gala. Let's not overwhelm her. When Derek calls on Sundays, Amanda often answers my phone first. She installed a call forwarding app, said it was for emergencies. My son is a good man. He trusted his wife. He sent the money. He believed me when Amanda said I was fine. He was wrong about that last part. 6 years ago, Derek brought Amanda home for the first time. They'd been dating 8 months. He was 38. She was 34. She wore silk in November and called the fireplace charming. I liked her fine. She was polished. articulate. She laughed at the right moments and asked about my work. Over dinner, she mentioned her event planning business was really taking off. 2 months later, Derek called to say they were engaged. I was happy. I said so. Then I said one more thing. Have you two talked about a prenup? Silence on the line. It's not a judgment, Derek. Prenups protect both parties. You've built something significant. She's building something too. A prenup just means you're both adults who plan ahead. Derek said he'd think about it. I don't know what he told Amanda, but I know what Amanda heard. She heard gold digger, not the words, the implication. She decided that I'd looked at her across my kitchen table and seen a woman after my son's money. She was wrong. I saw a woman who hadn't mentioned her business debts. I'd noticed the collection notice in her open purse when she reached for her phone, but I said nothing about that. I only said prenup. The wedding was beautiful. It's a combination there is. For 6 years, she smiled at me and called me Mom and planned. November 3rd. I woke up and I could see my breath. The bedroom was 54 degrees. I know because I keep a thermometer on the nightstand. Have since Ray died. Old habit from a woman who spent her career measuring things. I put my feet on the cold hardwood, pulled on wool socks, went downstairs. The boiler sat in the basement like it always had. A Burnham Series 2 oil boiler I spec'd myself in, 1986, and replaced in 2009. I know that machine the way a surgeon knows a scalpel. I checked the runtime counter. Stopped, October 7th. I checked the fuel gauge on the 275-gallon tank. Empty. I called Barlow's Heating and Oil, got a recording, left a message, went back upstairs and opened the hall closet. Ray's Carhartt jacket hung on the third hook. Canvas. Flannel lined. Still smelled like sawdust and Old Spice. I put it on. The sleeves hung past my wrists. I rolled them twice the way I always did when I borrowed it to check the foundation in winter. I drove to the hardware store, bought a ceramic space heater for $47.99, plugged it in by my reading chair. The boiler wasn't broken. It was starved. Someone had let the fuel run out and no delivery had come to refill it. In 40 years of home ownership, that had never happened. Not once. I sat in Ray's jacket and watched the space heater glow, and I started thinking like an engineer. Amanda came 4 days later, November 7th. She pulled up in the BMW X5, the white one Derek bought her for their anniversary. She wore a cream-colored cashmere coat, Hermes scarf, leather gloves. She did not take off the coat. "Mom, how are you? You look cozy in that jacket." She carried a grocery bag. Inside, 4 cans and envelope from her purse. $400 in 20s. Handed it to me with both hands like a gift. "For whatever you need, Mom." I asked about the heat. "The house feels a little cool," I said. "The boiler's not running." Amanda tilted her head. "Really? I'll look into that. Maybe the oil company missed a delivery." She walked through the house, took 3 photos on her phone. Living room, kitchen, me standing by the counter in Ray's Carhartt. She had me hold up the soup cans and smile. "For Derek's update," she said. "He worries." She was in the house 22 minutes. I timed it. She did not sit down. She did not take off her coat. She did not look at the boiler. 4 cans of soup, $400 cash, and a photo to prove she'd been here. I put the money in the drawer and the soup in the pantry, and I wrote the date in my notebook. I called Derek that evening. His cell went to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. The third time, Amanda picked up. "Mom, Derek's in a meeting. Is everything okay?" "I need to talk to him about the heating situation." "Oh, I already told him about that. He said to let me handle it. You know how busy he is." "Amanda, I'd like to hear that from Derek." Pause. Then that voice. The one that sounds like kindness but isn't. "Mom, I don't want to worry you, but Derek's been really stressed. The last thing he needs is to worry about a furnace. I'll take care of it, I promise." She didn't take care of it. 2 days later, I tried Derek's office line. His assistant said he was traveling. I left a message. He called back that night. But Amanda had already spoken to him. "Mom, Amanda says you're a little confused about the heating. She said she's getting it fixed this week." "I'm not confused, Derek." "I know, Mom. I just mean, let Amanda handle the logistics. That's why we set it up this way." I heard Amanda in the background, couldn't make out words, but I heard the tone. Stealing money. She was stealing my son, redirecting his attention, filtering his information, making me sound old and confused so he'd stop listening. She was gatekeeping, and I was on the wrong side of the gate. I sat at Ray's desk the next morning. Oak desk. He built it in 1991. 3 drawers on the left, file drawer on the right. I pulled out a manila folder, new, crisp. I wrote on the tab in block letters, Thatcher, Care Account Investigation. Then I opened my notebook and made a list. What I needed: 1. Bank statements, my account, actual deposits. 2. Heating oil records, who canceled, when, why. 3. Utility records, any other cancellations. 4. Derek's transfer confirmation, account number, routing. 5. Amanda's visit log, dates, duration, what she brought. 6. Photos, boiler counter, fuel gauge, thermostat readings. I've run 200 infrastructure projects in my career. Highway expansions, bridge replacements, drainage systems for entire townships. Every single one started the same way. You define the problem. You gather the data. You document everything. Then you present your findings to the people who can act on them. This was no different. The structure was smaller, the stakes were personal, but the methodology was identical. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to call my son and sound confused and desperate, which is exactly what Amanda wanted. I was going to build a case, tab by tab, document by document, the way I'd built everything else in my life. I slid the empty folder into the desk drawer. It wouldn't be empty for long. The space heater clicked and hummed. Ray's Carhartt hung heavy on my shoulders. I went to work. The boiler. I went down to the basement with a flashlight and my digital camera. A Canon PowerShot 5,832 hours. Last advancement, October 7th at 2:14 a.m. The boiler had run its final cycle in the middle of the night while I slept, burning the last vapors of heating oil in the tank. I photographed the fuel gauge, needle flat on empty. I photographed the delivery schedule posted on the wall beside the tank. Barlow's Heating and Oil, automatic delivery, every 6 weeks from October through April. The October delivery had been due October 5th. It never came. I photographed the intake valve. Clean, no blockage. I photographed the filter. Recently replaced. I'd done it myself in September, as I do every year. The boiler was in perfect working order. It simply had no fuel, like a car with an empty tank sitting in a driveway. Nothing wrong with the engine, everything wrong with the supply. I printed the photos at the library, dated each one on the back with a Sharpie, slid them into the folder behind the first tab, boiler/fuel system. 1 section down, 5 to go. Upstairs, the thermostat read 52 degrees. I pulled Ray's jacket tighter and ate one of Amanda's cans of soup cold, straight from the can, standing at the counter. The money. I walked to Patriot Savings Bank on Main Street, half a mile. My knees aren't what they were, but the cold air kept me sharp. I sat down with a teller named Christine. Young woman, patient. I'd like to see the last 16 months of statements from my checking account, please. She pulled them up. I put on my reading glasses and went line by line. No $5,000 deposits. Not one. Not in 16 months. What I saw, cash deposits. $400 here, $500 there. Irregular intervals. Always cash. Always in amounts that wouldn't trigger reporting. Christine, is there another account? I needed to make one phone call and I couldn't make it from my house because Amanda had forwarded my calls. I walked to Gerald Maddox's house. 3 doors down. Gerald is 71. Retired postal worker. My neighbor for 28 years. Gerald, can I use your phone? I called Derek's office. Got through to his assistant. Can you read me the account number Derek's monthly transfer goes to? The $5,000 for his mother. She read it. I wrote it down. I compared it to my checking account number. Different, every digit. Thank you, honey, that's all I needed. I hung up, looked at Gerald, looked at the 2 numbers on my notepad. She set up a separate account, I said. The money never even touched my bank. Filed. Gerald Maddox has been my neighbor since 1998. He and his wife, Dolores, God rest her, moved in when their boys left for college. Dolores passed in 2019. Gerald and I look out for each other the way old neighbors do, without fanfare. Gerald had noticed things. The oil truck stopped coming in October, he said. I watched for it. Used to come like clockwork. You could set your calendar by Barlow's truck. October, nothing. November, nothing. He'd noticed Amanda's visits, too. She comes in that white BMW, parks crooked. She's in and out in 20 minutes. Never longer. Never sees me wave. He'd noticed the chimney. No smoke, Nox. Not since early October. Your chimney always had smoke by Columbus Day. Ray used to joke about it. Said you started the boiler the minute the leaves turned. Then Gerald showed me something I hadn't expected. He'd been taking photos, 47 of them. His phone pointed at my house from his kitchen window, each one time-stamped, each one showing the thermometer he could see through my living room window, the big round one I keep on the wall by the front door. 47 photos. Temperatures or heart jacket I was wearing. That's Ray's, he said. I know. He'd be furious. I know that, too. Gerald went out back and came in with an armload of firewood. He'd been bringing me wood every other day since November. I hadn't asked. He just did it. That's where I stood that November. The money wasn't reaching me. The fuel was deliberately cut. My calls were being intercepted. And the woman responsible visited every few weeks to hand me cash and take photos. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't, and keep listening because I wasn't done gathering evidence. Not by a long shot. Amanda came again on November 19th. Same routine, same BMW, same cashmere coat she never took off. This time she brought $500 in cash and a bag from Whole Foods. Hummus, crackers, a rotisserie chicken, an upgrade from Campbell's Soup. I suppose she felt generous. I noticed the scarf before she took her gloves off. Hermes, the classic carré, orange and gold. I know because Dolores Maddox used to buy knockoffs and Gerald would tease her about it. This wasn't a knockoff. That's an $800 scarf on a woman who handles my $5,000 a month and gives me $500 in cash. She walked through the house again, took photos again. Mom, have you thought more about what we discussed, about assisted living? We didn't discuss it, Amanda. You mentioned it. Well, this house is a lot for one person. The upkeep, the heating issues. The heating issues that you said you'd look into. She smiled. These old systems, so unreliable. I designed the system, Amanda. It's extremely reliable when it has fuel. Her smile stayed fixed. I'll make some calls. She left after 18 minutes. I watched the BMW pull away, and I sat down at the kitchen table and logged everything. Tim's brought hummus, crackers, chicken. Observations: Hermes scarf, approximately $800 retail. Suggested assisted living. She wanted me out of this house. Out of the house Ray and I built, into a facility where no one would check the bank statements and no one would ask questions. That was never going to happen. The mail. I'd noticed my mail had been thin. No bank statements, though I hadn't switched to paperless. No insurance notices. No oil company correspondence. A missing document is just as important as a present one. Any engineer will tell you that. I set a trap. Simple. Elegant. The kind of thing you learn when you've spent 40 years verifying that contractors actually did the work they invoiced for. I took a standard envelope, put a $20 bill inside, sealed it, wrote on the front, Nox, personal, do not forward. I taped it to the inside of my mail slot where it would be visible to anyone checking my mailbox from the outside. Then I pulled a single hair from my head, silver, 8 inches long, and laid it across the seal with a small dot of clear nail polish on each end. Engineers' tamper detection, low-tech, foolproof. I checked every morning. Day 1, untouched. Day 2, untouched. Day 3, the hair was broken. Both nail polish dots intact on the envelope, but the hair snapped cleanly where the seal had been opened and resealed. The 20 was gone. Someone was opening my mail, removing cash, and resealing the envelopes. Someone with access to my mailbox. Someone who visited every week or two. I photographed the broken seal, photographed the intact nail polish dots, wrote up the dates, the method, the result. Mail tampering confirmed. I slid the evidence into the folder and poured myself a cup of coffee. The kitchen was 51 degrees. I dialed. First call, Barlow's Heating and Oil. Mrs. Thatcher, your account was canceled on October 8th by Amanda Thatcher. She presented power of attorney documentation. Second call, Hartford Insurance, my homeowner's policy. Mrs. Thatcher, your policy was canceled on October 12th. The cancellation was submitted by your authorized representative, Amanda Thatcher. Third call, the Troy Record, my newspaper subscription since 1988. Canceled October 15th, ma'am, by an Amanda Thatcher. October 8th, October 12th, October 15th. 3 cancellations in 1 week. Heating oil, homeowner's insurance, newspaper. A systematic dismantling of the services that kept my house running and kept me informed. The newspaper was the tell. Heating oil you could explain. A mistake. A miscommunication. Insurance. Maybe an administrative error. But the newspaper? Nobody cancels an old woman's newspaper by accident. You cancel it so she stops getting mail. So the mailbox looks unused. So the house looks empty. So the neighbors stop paying attention. I wrote down every call, every name, every date, every reference number. I wrote down the phrase, power of attorney 3 times and underlined it each time. I've never given anyone power of attorney. Not Amanda, not Derek, not anyone. I am a civil engineer. I have read more legal documents than most lawyers. I do not sign things I haven't read, and I have never signed a POA. Whatever Amanda showed them, it was forged. Utility cancellations. Fraudulent POA filed. December 2nd, 31 degrees outside. I put on Ray's Carhartt, a wool hat, and my winter boots, and walked to Barlow's Heating and Oil. 8 blocks. Down Maple Ridge to Oak Street, left on commercial. It in 1960. I designed the storage facility expansion for Frank in 1997. Doubled his tank capacity, added a loading dock, brought the whole operation up to EPA code. He sent me a Christmas ham every year for a decade after that. The office smelled like diesel and coffee. Frank's secretary, Maureen, recognized me through the glass door before I even reached for the handle. Nox Thatcher, Lord, come in out of the cold. She brought me coffee in a styrofoam cup. I held it with both hands. My fingers ached. Is Frank in? He's in the back. Let me get him. I sat in the plastic chair by the counter and looked at the framed photos on the wall. Frank with the first truck. Frank with his father. Frank at the ribbon cutting for the storage facility I designed. I sipped the coffee and waited. The folder sat on my lap, getting thicker every day. Frank came out wiping his hands on a shop rag, 66 years old, barrel-chested. A man who spent his life hauling oil and fixing boilers and doing right by his customers. Nox, what brings you down here? I need to see my account records, Frank. He didn't ask why. He's known me 40 years. If Nox Thatcher walks 8 blocks in December to ask for records, there's a reason. We went to his office. He pulled up my file on his computer, squinting at the screen the way men our age do. Automatic delivery since 1986, he read. Last delivery, September 14th. Next delivery was scheduled October 5th. He scrolled. Canceled October 8th. Phone call from Amanda Thatcher, identifying herself as your representative. She provided a power of attorney document by fax. Can you print the fax? He printed it. I looked at the signature line. My name. Not my handwriting. Not even close. I've signed my name the same way for 52 years. K. Thatcher with a distinct loopy. A forgery by someone who'd never watched me sign anything. Frank, I have never given anyone power of attorney in my life. He stared at the fax, then at me. I'm an engineer, I said. I read documents before I signed them. Frank printed every record, the original delivery schedule, the cancellation call log, the faxed POA, the account history going back 5 years. He stapled them together and handed them over without a word. I slid the stack into the manila folder. It was getting heavy now. Nox, Frank said, how long have you been without heat? Since October 7th. He picked up the phone. I can have a truck there in 2 hours. Not yet, Frank, not yet. I stood up. But I'll need that truck on December 26th. He looked at me the way people look at me when they realize I'm not confused. I'm calculating. I walked home in the cold, 8 blocks, the folder under my arm like a blueprint tube. I could have called Derek right then. I had enough. The bank statements, the boiler records, the forged POA, Gerald's photos, the envelope trap. Any one of these would have been enough to start a conversation. But I'm an engineer. I don't present preliminary findings. I present completed analyses. And I needed Derek and Amanda in the same room, in my house, in the cold. Christmas was 23 days away. I sat at the kitchen table and spread everything out. The table Ray built from reclaimed barnwood, 8 feet long, sturdy enough to hold blueprints for a highway interchange. Now it held something else entirely. I organized the folder with color-coded tabs. Red for financial records, blue for utility cancellations, green for the forged POA, yellow for Gerald's photos and my own documentation, orange for the envelope trap. Each tab had a summary page on top. Date, source, findings, conclude. A cold house. She was dealing with a woman who built infrastructure for a living, who documented everything, who never presented a finding she couldn't defend. I closed the folder, set it on the desk, went to bed. Ray's Carhartt over the blankets. Space heater aimed at the bed. 50 degrees in the bedroom. 23 days. The waiting was the hardest part, not the cold. I'd managed the cold. Space heater, layers, Gerald's firewood in the fireplace when the temperature dropped below 50. I'd survived worse conditions on job sites. I once inspected a bridge abutment in January with a wind chill of -8. This was unpleasant. It wasn't dangerous, but my body disagreed. December 12th, I went to Dr. Pham for my regular checkup. Blood pressure, 158/92. It's usually 130/78. Nox, are you under stress? Some. Sleeping well? When the house is warm enough. He looked at me over his glasses. Is your heat working? It will be soon. He gave me a look. I gave him one back. He's been my doctor for 15 years. He knows when I'm handling something. Gerald came every day now. Coffee in the morning, firewood in the afternoon, sometimes dinner. His pot roast isn't as good as Dolores's was, but it's warm and it's kindness. And those are the same thing when you're 74 and cold. 10 more days, Gerald. You sure about this? I could call the police. The police would take a report. I need a reckoning. December 18th. The coldest day. 46 degrees inside when I woke up. I could see my breath in bed before I opened my eyes. Ice on the inside of the bathroom window. I checked the folder. Everything in order. Every tab complete except one. 9 more days. The last piece came to me by accident. Or by luck. Engineers don't believe in luck. The one that wasn't mine. Christine, the same teller, helped me again. Mrs. Thatcher, I can't give you details on an account that isn't yours, but I can tell you the account name that appears on our records. She turned the screen so I couldn't see it. Bank policy. But she wrote the name on a Post-it note and slid it across the counter. Delacroix and Thatcher Events, LLC. I read it twice. I read it 3 times. I folded the Post-it note carefully and put it in my coat pocket. Ray's coat pocket, and walked to the public library. Margaret at the reference desk helped me use the computer. I found the business registration on the New York Secretary of State website. Delacroix and Thatcher Events, LLC. Registered agents, Amanda Thatcher and Paige Delacroix. Business address, 1440 State Street, Suite 200, Albany. The $5,000 Derek sent every month for his mother's care went straight into Amanda's failing event planning company, laundered through a business account, disguised as revenue. Amanda hadn't just stolen from me. She'd had help. Paige Delacroix, her business partner, had to have known. You don't deposit $5,000 a month into a shared business account without your partner noticing. I printed the registration. I printed the business filing. I added them to the folder. 2 villains, 1 folder. Amanda called on Christmas Eve. My phone. No forwarding this time. She called direct. Mom, we're so excited to see you tomorrow. Derek's been talking about it all week. I'm looking forward to it. Can we bring anything? I'm making my cranberry compote. Just yourselves. You sound good, Mom. Really good. I looked at the thermometer on the wall. 51 degrees. Amanda, I have something to show Derek when you come. Silence, just a beat. Then, "Oh, a Christmas surprise." You could call it that. Another pause. I could hung up and set the phone down on the kitchen counter. The space heater hummed its small orange song. Outside, snow was falling, light and dry, the kind that squeaks under your boots. I pulled Ray's Carhartt off the hook and put it on. Walked to the living room window. Maple Ridge Road looked like a Christmas card. Gerald's house with lights on the porch, the Hendersons' inflatable snowman across the street, the Petrio's luminaries along the walkway. My house was dark. No lights, no decorations except the tabletop tree I'd set up that morning. 3 ornaments, a star Derek made in 3rd grade from a coffee can lid, and gold spray paint. I checked the folder one more time. 6 tabs, everything in order. Tomorrow. I had 6 pieces of evidence in that manila folder: bank statements, boiler records, a forged power of attorney, 47 photos from a neighbor, a tampered envelope, and a business registration linking Amanda to her part PM. I sat in the living room by the space heater with a cup of tea that went cold in 12 minutes. The tabletop tree glowed, 12 inches tall, battery-operated lights. I'd bought it at the dollar store for $6.99. 3 ornaments. Derek's coffee can star, a glass cardinal Ray's mother gave us in 1987, and a small brass bell from our first Christmas in this house. Ray's photo watched me from the mantel. Our wedding day, 1979. He wore a brown suit. I wore my mother's dress. We looked like we had no idea what was coming, and we didn't, and it was the best 40 years of my life. "Well, Raymond," I said to the photo, "tomorrow's the day." He smiled back the way he always does, that crooked grin, the one Derek inherited. I laid the manila folder on the kitchen table, centered it, made sure the tabs were visible. Red, blue, green, yellow, orange. Run all night on the timer I'd set. I went to bed in Ray's Carhartt jacket, wool socks, 2 quilts. The bedroom was 49 degrees. I lay in the dark and listened to the house. The small clicks and creaks of a structure I'd designed and built and lived in for 40 years. My house, my home, my evidence room. I slept the way I always sleep before a big presentation, soundly. Christmas morning, 9 a.m. I heard the car before I heard the knock. Derek drove his own car this time, the Tesla he'd bought last year. I heard the door close, then his footsteps on the porch. Quick steps, eager. My boy coming home for Christmas. He opened the front door with his key and stopped. I watched from my chair. I saw him register it. Saw the information hit his engineering brain the same way it had hit mine 8 weeks earlier. His breath visible inside the house. The space heater, glowing orange, surrounded by a semicircle of blankets and pillows, where I'd been sleeping in the living room because it was the warmest spot. The frost on the kitchen window, thin but unmistakable. Frost inside. The tiny tree on the side table. 3 ornaments. His coffee can star, which he hadn't seen in 20 years. And me, his mother, 74 years old, sitting in a reading chair in his dead father's Carhartt jacket, a quilt across my lap, wool socks, fingerless gloves. He came to me. He knelt by the chair. He took my hand, and it was cold, and he felt it. "Mom, Merry Christmas, Derek. Mom, it's freezing in here." "I know." He looked around, processing, calculating, running the numbers the way I taught him. "Mom, has the $5,000 Amanda sends you each month finally made you comfortable?" He said it without irony. He said it because he believed it, because Amanda told him it was true, because he trusted his wife. I pulled the blanket tighter, looked. Derek's face went white. Not the white of anger, the white of a man recalculating everything he thought he knew. That's not possible. Amanda sends me $400 in cash every few weeks. She brings soup. She takes photos for your updates. She stays less than 20 minutes. She has never once taken off her coat in my house. He stood up, walked to the thermostat on the wall. 49 degrees. He said it like a diagnosis. It was 46 on December 18th. Gerald Maddox has 47 photos. Gerald, the neighbor? Your father's friend. The man who's been bringing me firewood every day for 2 months because my daughter-in-law canceled my heating oil with a forged power of attorney. Derek's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Amanda says a lot of things, Derek. She told you I was comfortable. She told you I was confused. She told you to let her handle it. The front door opened, a gust of December air that was remarkably warmer than the air inside my house. Amanda Thatcher walked in carrying 2 Nordstrom gift bags and wearing a Gucci scarf over her cashmere coat, Tiffany earrings, suede boots. She looked like a magazine spread. She looked like $80,000 of my son's money. Merry Christmas, everyone. She stopped, saw Derek's face, saw mine. What's wrong? Derek turned to her. His voice was flat, controlled. He gets that from me. Mom says she hasn't had heat since November. Amanda set the Nordstrom bags on the floor. She smiled, the automatic smile, the one that fires before the brain catches up. Oh, honey, that's not true. We talked about this. The oil company... The oil company? What, Amanda? There was a delivery issue. I've been handling it. It's 49 degrees in this house. But it had stopped working. It was a smile with nothing behind it. A display model smile. Mom gets confused sometimes, Derek. You know that. I stood up. Ray's Carhartt hung to my knees. My fingerless gloves were still on. I walked to the kitchen table where the manila folder sat centered, tabs facing up. I picked it up, held it against my chest for a moment, felt the weight of it. 2 months of evidence gathered in the cold. 40 pages, 6 tabs, 212 project reports had taught me how to organize this moment. I turned to face them both. Actually, Amanda, I said, why don't I tell him? I set the folder on the kitchen table and opened it the way I've opened every project presentation in my career, methodically. 1 section at a time. No emotion, just facts. Tab 1, red. I laid out the boiler photographs. Runtime counter stopped October 7th. Fuel gauge on empty. Delivery schedule showing the missed October refill. I designed this heating system in 1986. I specified the boiler, the fuel lines, the radiators, the thermostat zones, so when it stopped working, I didn't call a repairman. I looked at Amanda. I checked the fuel records. Amanda's face did something complicated. Derek was reading the photographs like the engineer he is. Tab 2, also red, financial. Bank statements. 16 months of deposits, cash only, $400 here, $500 there, no $5,000 transfers, not one. The account you send the money to, Derek, it's not my account. The number doesn't match. I confirmed it through your assistant. Derek took the statements. His hands were shaking. Not from the cold. Tab 3, blue, utilities. Heating oil canceled October 8th. Homeowners insurance canceled October 12th. Newspaper canceled October 15th. The signature that wasn't mine, the round, loopy handwriting of someone who had never watched me sign my name. I have never given anyone power of attorney in my life. I'm an engineer. I read documents before I sign them. Tab 5, yellow. Gerald's 47 thermostat photos, the envelope trap, the broken hair seal, the missing $20 bill. Tab 6, white. The business registration, Delacroix and Thatcher Events, LLC. Amanda's company with Paige Delacroix, the account where Derek's $5,000 actually went. You asked if the $5,000 made me comfortable, Derek? I closed the folder. I haven't seen $5,000. I've seen $400 in cash and 4 cans of soup. The kitchen was silent except for the space heater, 49 degrees, breath visible. 3 people standing in a house that one of them built, one of them paid for, and one of them gutted from the inside out. Amanda's smile was gone. In its place was something I'd seen before, on contractors caught falsifying inspection reports, on engineers who'd signed off on work they never verified. This is ridiculous. Old people exaggerate about cold. You don't even... Amanda. Derek's voice was the voice I'd never heard from him. Low, quiet. Final. It is 49 degrees in this house. I can see my breath. She pivoted. Okay, yes, maybe there was a mix-up with the oil company, but I've been taking care of her. I bring her food. I bring her money. $400, I said, out of $5,000. The rest goes to maintenance, upkeep. There are costs you don't see, Derek. Show me the receipts. I can't just, Derek, it's Christmas. "Show me the receipts, Amanda." Silence. "Because I have the bank records," I said. "Your name is on the business account." Sequence. Denial was gone. Minimization had failed. Justification lasted 3 seconds. Then the tears came. "I was trying to save the business. You don't understand the pressure. The Henderson Gala fell through, and we lost the Byrne wedding, and Paige said, if we didn't—" She sobbed. Real tears. The kind that come when every exit is blocked and the only option left is sympathy. I said nothing. I have watched better performances from contractors facing fraud charges. I've sat across tables from men who cried about their mortgages while the inspector showed them the falsified concrete tests. Tears don't move me. Data does. Derek watched her cry. I watched Derek. And I saw the exact moment he stopped being her husband and became my son again. Derek pulled out his phone. His hands were steady now. "I'm calling Martin Kessler, my attorney." "Derek, please, it's Christmas. Can we just talk about this?" "You can talk to your own attorney." He walked to the far side of the kitchen. I heard him speak in short, precise sentences. "Freeze the account. Forensic review of all transfers. 16 months minimum. Flag Delacroix and Thatcher Events, LLC. He hung up, turned to Amanda. "Get your things from the car. You're not staying here. Derek, I'm your wife. My mother spent Christmas Eve at 49 degrees wearing my dead father's jacket because you stole her heating money." Amanda looked at me, looked at Derek, looked at the manila folder on the table. She opened her mouth to say something, to argue, to plead, to explain. And for the first time since I'd known her, nothing came out. She picked up the Nordstrom bags. She walked to the front door. She turned back once. "Nox, don't," I said. Not angry, not loud, just done. She left, the door closed. The BMW started. Tires on frozen hummed. That small orange glow. The only warmth in the house for 7 weeks, and suddenly it seemed like enough. Derek knelt by my chair, not the way he had when he arrived, eager, cheerful, full of Christmas. This time slow, heavy with what he now knew. "Mom, I'm sorry. You trusted your wife. That's not a fault. I should have checked. I should have come more often. I should have—" "You sent the money. You called every week. You did what a good son does." She intercepted it. He put his head in his hands. "My boy, 44 years old, VP of engineering, a man who runs teams of 200 people. And right now, kneeling on the cold hardwood floor his father milled, he was just a son who'd failed his mother and knew it." I put my hand on his head, the way I did when he was 7 and had a fever, the way I did when he was 17 and lost the state championship, the way I did when he was 39 and stood at his father's casket. "It's all right now." He pulled out his phone, called Barlow's Heating and Oil, emergency delivery, Christmas Day surcharge. He didn't ask the cost. "They'll be here by noon," he said. "I know." "Mom, I'm going to fix this, all of it." "I know that too." I looked at Ray's photo on the mantel, that crooked grin. "Your father would have been proud of you today, Derek." Amanda moved out of Derek's Boston townhouse on January 2nd. The divorce was filed January 15th. She did not contest it. Martin Kessler's forensic accountants traced every dollar, $80,000 over 16 months, redirected from the account Derek set up for my care into Delacroix and Thatcher Events, LLC. Every monthly transfer documented. Every corresponding cash withdrawal to me, $400 or $500 at a time, documented alongside it. The math was ugly and 72 hours of being contacted. She provided the business account records, the deposit logs, and a written statement confirming she knew the funds came from Derek's transfers. She said Amanda told her it was family money they weren't using. Paige is many things. Brave isn't one of them. Amanda was charged with elder financial abuse, fraud, and forgery. The forged power of attorney alone carried a Class D felony in New York State. Her attorney negotiated. The courts decided. I attended every hearing. I wore a blazer and my reading glasses, and I brought the manila folder. I never had to open it. The prosecution had their own copy. Derek repaid the full $80,000 into my verified account. I kept $60,000. The other $20,000 I donated to Rensselaer County Elder Services, earmarked for heating assistance, because no one should be cold in their own home. February. The boiler is running. I can hear it from the kitchen. That low, familiar rumble I've known for 40 years. The sound of a well-maintained system doing exactly what it was designed to do. The thermostat reads 68 degrees. The runtime counter is advancing again, hour by hour, the way it's supposed to. Gerald comes over for coffee on Tuesday mornings. We sit at the kitchen table. The table that held blueprints and then held evidence and now just holds coffee cups and the Troy record, which is being delivered again. Warm enough, he asks. 68. Good. We drink coffee. We don't talk about it much. Gerald's not that kind of man, and I'm not that kind of woman. Ray's Carhartt jacket hangs on the third hook in the hall closet. I don't need it indoors anymore. Sometimes I put it on to check the foundation or walk to the mailbox. But I don't sleep in it. I don't eat in it. I don't sit in it by a space heater counting the days until leave it on the hook, where it belongs. Derek visits twice a month now. Not 3 or 4 times a year. Twice a month. He drives up from Boston on Saturday mornings and stays until Sunday afternoon. The $5,000 goes directly into my verified account. My name, my bank, my routing number. He set it up himself. No intermediaries, no event planners managing Mom's finances. In January, he showed up with a full-size Christmas tree strapped to the roof of the Tesla, 7 feet tall, Douglas fir. It's January, Derek. I know, we're doing Christmas over. We decorated it together, real ornaments, real lights. He hung his coffee can star right at the top. The house was 68 degrees, the boiler hummed, and my son was home. I built my career documenting things. Measurements, load calculations, drainage flows, concrete densities. 40 years of writing down numbers because numbers don't exaggerate, and numbers don't lie, and numbers don't tell you your mother is comfortable when she's freezing. If someone you love is cold, hungry, or struggling despite the resources you're sending, don't assume. Verify. Visit. Check the thermostat yourself. The evidence is always there. You just have to look for it. If this story reminded you to check on someone you love, share it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Alpha Mom Stories. Turn on the bell. We've got more stories coming. And they all end the same way, with the truth.